Hello again, I'm Dataman, the artist Horseman, and I'm very happy to be here. This video will explain to every one of you, my great fans, the process that went into making the Erza vs Honey crossover battle, which I'm very proud of. In case you were wondering why I'm making this, just look at this stack I have got here. This is the raw material. When added failed or abandoned or alternate parts and plans, it looks like this. So basically, I'm flexing, y'all. Jokes aside, I think this will be very informative to those of you who want to do something similar. Or just to get to know my creative process. I guess it is pretty clear that I'm not very rich at all. This is one reason for why I didn't hire an animation studio to do the animating for me. The other reason is that I wanted to see if I could do this, a sort of personal challenge. I'd call this a victory considering what I was working with. First, I watched both of the shows to the completion, or at least to the extent I needed to have the necessary knowledge to be able to find out which one of the two characters would be victorious, and how I'd structure the battle to go. Believe it or not, this is one of the hardest parts. I make the structure by first making one-page sort of sentences to tell what happens and when. Then I have a storyboard that elaborates on each one of the said sentences. Lastly, I draw and paint the picture or series of pictures to go along with each frame of the storyboards. Then I go and scan those pictures onto my computer and edit them into animation. This includes removing the characters from the original paper and putting them into different backgrounds and adding movement where need be. It means that this translates to this.
Fire! Requip! I need flash! Requip! Thunder drop! What?
I have a whole bunch of Sharpies, colored pens, markers and ink to be used with process. I use them on the cheap A4 paper I can buy from any store, in boxes of 2500. In fact, I have a light pad right now, but I got it after getting nearly all of the raw material ready. Only these shots, and a few minor ones not mentioning, were made using it, which really was a lot more difficult. About 60% slower according to my own calculations. The thing that made all of this possible is my trusty scanner. While it isn't perfect, it is still miles ahead of my phone camera, even under the best lighting circumstances. My desktop computer is about 13 years old, which means that it isn't very powerful. In fact, that's the reason why the battle video wasn't in glorious HD. My computer couldn't handle the pressure. Poor thing. Well, I'm getting a new one. Lastly, my right hand. It is an awesome high-accuracy piece of less-covered bone in skin cover. Runs on oxygen-filled blood. And here are the other people involved in bringing this to fruition. While I can animate and edit and do research, there are some things I simply cannot do. For one, I can't do a convincing female voice. I originally planned to put in here a clip of me dubbing the characters, but it turns out it wasn't even funny. The second thing I can't do is make music that's energetic and battleless. So, I hired not one but two skilled voice actresses to play the lead parts, and another skilled individual to make the music I needed. So let's begin with the obvious. Who are you?
Hi, this is Erza's voice actress, Silent Joe. I've been involved in a variety of projects, including original audio plays, a bridge series, and fan dubs.
Hello, I'm Terry Wood and I was the composer for Erza vs Honey. I composed the music for the film and occasionally served as a sounding board for the director.
I'm Tomoyo Ichijoji, the voice actor for Cutie Honey. Among many other roles, I have also voiced the main protagonist and antagonist in Target Acquired, a mobile game with music composed by Manami Matsumae, who also composed for Mega Man.
How was it?
This project was one that I had a lot of fun working on. I hadn't been involved in a fight-oriented voice acting project before, so recording numerous fighting sound effects was new to me at the time. But the director, Dataman, did a great job of directing and assisting me through the lines, and helped me put in my best efforts towards the character of Erza Scarlet, who is one of my favorite characters in Fairy Tail. Besides Grey, of course. I describe this project in one word: unique. From the premise of a crossover battle, to the style of the animation, this is a project I wouldn't typically see anywhere online. When I first saw the raw footage of the fight animation with our sound effects and lines added, it was impressive. A lot of detail went into getting the sounds of the swords clashing and fighting sounds synced to the visuals. It made me very happy to see such fine work. I was proud to be a part of it.
I think it went well. It was initially very nerve-wracking, but I soon figured out a decent approach, and as the film went on I expanded my sound palette a bit more. I composed about 16 tracks for it. The early battle tracks are heavy on the percussion and have a lot of electric guitar. As I grew more comfortable, gradually I ventured more into some synth stuff. Finally, with the second to last track, things looped back around with heavy percussion and unusual synth stuff in Cutie Honey, which was actually one of the pieces where I had some real difficulty. It went through a lot of revisions. In the end, we used number 4.2. This is one of my first projects, and my first for a film medium. It's been excellent to work on. Referring back to my mention of synth stuff, a couple of them weren't used, and for good reason. They didn't really work. I tried to link it all together thematically, so you can hear bits of Erza's theme occasionally and bits of Honey's theme. Initially I used a 4-note motif for her, but with Cutie Honey I let loose completely and used the entire thing.
I basically just followed the directions and made adjustments from there. Since there weren't visual references to follow, there was a fair amount of flexibility as to how I wanted to approach the character. I studied her mannerisms in Japanese voice for a little while, and then tested out her voice before I went for the recording. In terms of difficulties, the main thing was just making sure that I understood what was being asked for and to deliver in the way that the director wanted, which doesn't always match up. Still, I was able to come up with multiple takes for each line, and there were only a few that needed some clarification. The project was fun to record for, and got me interested in the character I voiced. It was amusing also to see how my lines were eventually put together and used in the battle, since they were often asked for separately without knowing the exact order that they would be shown. So it was a bit of a surprise for me to see, too. It was pretty funny to see that insane laughter I did was for the trigger-happy gunfire scene. And the series of random fighting styles like cooking and medical devices was pretty amusing, too.
Honey, flash!
Re-equip!
Would you be willing to take part in my project in the future? Terry doesn't have to answer since he's already done a huge amount of more stuff for me.
Sure, I'd love to. I'd like to see and help out with what other projects you might have up your sleeve.
Okay, lastly, what is the best part of this fight we've done?
My favorite moment of the fight would probably be the moment where Erza and Cutie re-equip back and forth rapidly. All the different types of armor were fun to see, especially when Honey seemed to have one to match each one Erza brought out. The pajama and naughty re-equips were very funny as well. I have to say, I was surprised by the end result of the fight. I haven't watched the series Cutie Honey appears in, so I guess I was leaning towards Erza taking the fight, just based off of, knowing her character better. But judging by the battle, I'd say that Cutie is not a lady you want to mess with or take lightly.
My favorite musical part of it was the piano and timpani music for the re-equip battle. I thought it worked very well, and it was easier for me to compose because it's closer to how I compose music. I like to base things around a certain motif or ostinato or theme and then build off of that. My primary inspiration was the score to the Doctor Who film back in the 90s. They have a lot of really quick piano in some tracks, and that inspired the chase feeling of this piece. It was actually over a minute long before I realized I miscounted time to part. The most shocking moment for me was when Honey began brutalizing Erza. Ouch. I can never decide my favorite instrument. I love them all too much, but at the time I think my favorite was probably the piano. It's a very rich instrument and it can fit just about any mood, any setting, and any purpose.
Of course, where I win! But I also like the part where she does a troll honey flash, which was a fun line to do and made me really wonder what kind of moment it would be.
Honey, boomerang! Honey, flash!
I think it's been made clear that I like animated gore. In the light of this, how surprising is it really to see me doing some myself? Ha! Of course I'd do that, but I'm saying here it's just this. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. This battle is so bloody I ran out of one red marker I had, so I had to break out my red bottle of calligraphic ink. So, to celebrate this occasion and to leave you all with smiles on your faces, here's the controversial act scene in its entirety, uncut, better quality and non-shortened. Enjoy!